Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion. Well, here's a big subject for you. Mr. Ron Paul of the House of Representatives is proposing that there be an audit done of the Federal Reserve and that it should be completed by 2010 with a complete report to Congress. Now, this is interesting because the Fed has never been audited since its creation in 1913. They are a law unto themselves. They create money. They put out money for loans. They set the interest rates. They determine the money supply. We're dealing with what many people believe is the most powerful force in America and perhaps in the world. Especially with recent difficult economic times, everyone is trying to figure out who caused this problem. Who should be held accountable for it? Well, Mr. Ron Paul has been serving in the economic sector of the House of Representatives for many years, and now he is calling for the auditing of the Federal Reserve, and not just calling for it, but he actually has already presented Bill H.R. 1207, H.R. 1207. It's called the Federal Reserve Transparency Act of 2009. But get this, he now has co-sponsors, 179 members of the House of Representatives. Now, do you understand that this is the house that David Rockefeller built? Do you understand that this is the key to controlling the world? It was one of Rockefeller's relatives, Amschel Rockefeller, that said, "Give me control over a nation's money, and I don't care who makes her laws." Well, they've had control of this nation's money, the money supply, the interest rate for the last almost 100 years now. Suddenly we find this crash and nobody can figure out what's going on, except we do know that David Rockefeller has been at the center of this for a long time as the head of Chase Bank first, then Chase Manhattan, then J.P. Morgan Chase. He has sit astride the world's largest bank. They have about 50,000 banks around the nation. And if you'll notice, they've come through this last crisis smelling like a rose, stronger than ever. Now, in addition to this, one of Rockefeller's relatives controls Citicorp, which is the nation's second largest bank. When Rockefeller was asked to be head of the Federal Reserve back 25, 30 years ago, he said, "No, I don't accept public responsibilities like that, but I do have one of my lieutenants, a man by the name of Paul Volcker, and he would do a good job." And so who was appointed? Paul Volcker. Furthermore, it appears that he has been handpicking candidates for the World Bank chairmanship for many years. To be head of the World Bank, I think the last 4 heads of the World Bank have come from out under the tutelage of Mr. David Rockefeller. He also was the driving force behind the signing of NAFTA that now has shipped millions of American jobs overseas, and many people believe is the core responsibility for our present economic mess. All of this goes right back to one place. If the Federal Reserve were abolished, then the Congress would once again gain control over financial policies. You see, up until 1913, it's in the Constitution that Congress has the power to mint money and to control the money supply. But with the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, they delegated this to a private organization called the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, I know it sounds like it's a governmental agency. It's not. It has private stockholders, and it is controlled by private entities. It's no more federal than Federal Express. Now, that's a real shock to some people when they find it out. Nonetheless, Mr. Ron Paul is undoubtedly trying to strike at the heart of the dragon, and he has made this proposal that they be audited between now and next year. 179 members of Congress are now saying, hey, I think that's a good idea, because they control the money so much that if they don't contribute to your campaign, you don't get elected. And if they control who gets elected, they control everything that goes on in this nation. Well, that's where we are right now. I would suggest you contact Congress and say, hey, don't forget H.R. 1207. Please endorse that, and please vote for it.